Give us a sense of how big a drop we're talking about here in terms of imports from Russia, and how about the rest of the other markets like Saudi Arabia, like Iraq?
Hi, thanks for having me. So as the saying goes, whatever goes up has to come down. So India's imports from Russia that had hit stratospheric levels are finally taking a breather. We saw the imports having hit a peak of 2.2 million barrels a day in May. For the last 2 months, we are seeing a drop in the imports. July saw the imports falling to 2.09 million barrels a day. Now, that basically confirms the hypothesis that Russia and its OPEC plus alliance partners, they are keeping the supplies off the global markets just to balance the markets. But this is not just India that has suffered. So Russia's overall exports in the month of July were at 3.1 million barrels a day. That was the lowest volumes it exported since the month of December 2022. But to be clear, Russia still remains India's top supplier. So the July imports accounted for around 44% of India's total imports. Now, India made up for those lost volumes by buying more from other countries like Iraq, UAE, and US. So the Indian refiners say that the supplies are available, but the refiners, they still love the cheap discounted Russian barrels, which are no longer available in the market to the tunes they would like to lift.
So Rakesh, what's going on here? I mean, is it political or is it more than that? What are we looking at, and what are people telling you about the months ahead as far as demand for Russian oil goes in India? The market intelligence Kepler, it estimates that the imports will still fall further in the month of August. Just to remind you that Russia plans to cut its exports by another 500,000 barrels per day in the month of August, as per its pledge, along with the OPEC plus partners to keep the markets well balanced and trim the supplies. So the imports are likely to fall further to 1.6 to 1.7 million barrels per day. India's domestic demand for the products is also a bit weak because we are witnessing this monsoon season where some of the parts of the country have been flooded. So the road transportation has been hit, and some of the refineries are also going into a shutdown phase in the months of August and September. Kepler says that this is just a temporary breather that the markets have taken. We'll just see the imports bouncing back from the month of October. India will be celebrating its Hindu festival season month of Diwali in the month of November. That's a festival season when the people, they buy everything from cars to apartments. The demand is likely to pick up, and Kepler estimates that from the month of October, the imports will bounce back to 2.1 to 2.2 million barrels a day.